there are a number of areas that really needs to be are addressed right now, because what we're seeing in the technology world kind of generally is that technology is becoming more and more humanized. The way we communicate with the technology, the way we talk to it, the way we interact with it becomes more and more natural, more and more normal. And yet it didn't translate into the experience in the financial sector. And one of the big frictions in that experience is the authentication. What IDR&D is doing is that we're looking at three key areas. One is increasing the security. Secondly, we're looking at changing the user experience, and where possible, minimizing or eliminating it completely. Because let's face it, the authentication is the least exciting part of any user experience. Nobody likes to remember passwords, carrying things around, and so on. And then finally, there are new digital channels that are popping up, and there's very little authentication that is attached to those channels, such as conversation interface, the chatbots, the virtual assistants, and so on. And we're addressing those issues through developing new generation of technologies. We're called IDR&D because R&D is a very important component of what we do. We're developing new generation of technology that can do things that were not possible before through the advancement of the core science. So we're building technologies that require less input from the user, less data, and yet they're more secure. They provide more comprehensive security. When it comes to biometric, the comprehensive security means that we're answering two questions, not one. Traditionally, the question is this the right person? But the right set of questions that we believe is, first, is this the right person? But secondly, is this a person at all? Or is that a deep fake? Is that a picture? Is that a recording? So we're building technology that can answer both questions in a very frictionless and user-friendly way. Well, I think that there's a generational split. The younger generation is much more comfortable with using technology in general, and trust technology much more than the older generation. So we don't see any pushback at all with the younger generation. Sometimes there's some questions with the older customers, and the answer is in the normalization of the user experience and making it more natural, right? When we're meeting each other, when you're meeting your friends, you're not starting that conversation with like, "Hi, it's really me. Here's my passport or driving license," or "Here's my employee ID number." Your colleagues know who you are by how you look, how you talk, and so on. And we are bringing the same kind of user experience, if you can say, to the communication between the customer and the banks. And generally speaking, the experience that we see is that the simpler the user experience, the less friction there is, the more acceptable it is by the customers. And that's where the new generation of technology comes into play, because we can do things that were not possible before. We can demand less action from the users, and they love it. Because let's face it again, nobody likes to remember passwords. Nobody likes to go through the hoops to just make sure that your bank understands that it's really you and not somebody else. We're removing that friction while enhancing the security, and the combination of these two factors is perceived extremely favorably. Well, I think it's a moving target, and there's never enough security because the security threats are changing. Think about it like an antivirus. There are always some new viruses that are popping up, and the antivirus technology is coming up with the answers to these challenges. So it's a quite similar approach to the identity. So as the bad guys are getting better at what they do, we're also getting better at what we do. So I think we're in a good place, and I think that the new advancement in AI, in technology, in machine learning, allow us to really be ahead of the bad guys and provide the protection of the user data, of the user accounts, in a way that simplifies the user experience. So IDR&D is growing extremely fast. We're very excited as we're introducing new technologies in 2019, such as frictionless passport facial liveness, where we can distinguish between a live person in a picture or a mask or a video without any active participation from the user. And we're finishing this year strong with wins in some of the largest performance benchmark evaluations in the voice biometric and the voice liveness technologies. So in 2020, we see further simplification of the user experience from the users, further enhancement in the core technology that can bring this new level of security at a very friendly way. We have the largest pipeline in the history of the company. We're excited to go and bring these capabilities to more and more customers. And we're looking at hundreds of thousands, millions, and maybe even billions of users in the future.